Eiffel Tower. Focus question. What makes the Eiffel Tower an appealing landmark to visit? A dream come true. Over 125 years ago, four men had a wild idea. They wanted to build the tallest structure in the world, one that would measure 300 meters, 984 feet in height. They planned to build it out of more than 18,000 pieces of metal and use 2.5 million metal pins called rivets to hold the pieces together. The four men claimed that their structure would be both attractive and strong enough to stay standing in high winds. Many people thought their dream was impossible, and others said that the structure would look ridiculous. The structure was neither impossible nor ridiculous. Today, it's one of the best known and most loved landmarks in the world. It's the Eiffel Tower. Standing tall. When the Eiffel Tower was finished in 1889, it was the tallest structure ever built. That record stood until 1930. It's 1930, when New York's Chrysler Building surpassed it. Since then, a handful of other buildings have claimed that honor. Even so, the Eiffel Tower is quite remarkable. Four gigantic support beams, which make up the legs, gently curve toward each other to form a single tower at the top. The metal is wrought iron, which is very strong yet easy to shape. Workers paint the Eiffel Tower Workers paint the Eiffel Tower every 7 years. The tower's color has changed from dark red to dark yellow to brown and most recently to bronze. Towering above Paris. The Eiffel Tower is in Paris, the capital of France. It was built for the 1889 World's Fair, which marked the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution. The tower is on the south bank of the Seine River at one end of a large park called the Champ de Mars. People come from around the world to enjoy the huge landmark as well as many nearby attractions. Art and culture surrounded the Eiffel Tower. That part of Paris has museums, gardens, fountains, ponds, palaces, monuments, and cultural centers. Upscale hotels, restaurants, and stores are also found in the area. All the new blend together, and the Eiffel Tower rises above it all. A bold dream. The Eiffel Tower was named for Gustave Eiffel, a French civil engineer who had worked on the Statue of Liberty. However, the original drawing of the tower were the work of Maurice Coquelin and Émile Nouguier, the chief engineers for Eiffel's company. They entered the tower's design in the contest for a decorative structure for the 1889 World's Fair. They designed a very tall tower made of four silently curved iron beams constructed of crossed metal strip called latticework. Horizontal metal beams would join the four main beams along the four sides of the structure. Eiffel's company already knew how to build tall bridges. However, building a structure 300 meters, 884 feet tall would be a daring achievement. They brought in the French architect named Stephen Sylvestre to make sure the tower would be attractive as well as structurally solid. Their design was chosen over 106 other projects. And construction soon began. Ground was broken on January 26, 1887, and a huge structure was completed just over 2 years later on March 31, 1889. The tower is made up of 18,038 pieces of wrought iron weighing 730 metric tons, 8,046 tons. Eiffel used latticework wrought iron because he wanted to prove that metal, which weighs less than stone, could be just as strong. Sections of the tower was assembled with bolts by over 100 workers at Eiffel's factory. Then the sections which measured about 5 meters, 16 feet in length, were taken to the construction site. At the site, workers replaced the bolts with special rivets that were heated up before being installed. The rivets shrank after cooling, which made for a very tight fit. A total of 2.5 million rivets were used, with each one installed by a team of 4 workers. Up to 300 men worked at the site while the tower was being constructed. The foundation or base on which the tower sits is made of stone and cement, and rests on the layer of gravel. It was set at an exact angle to make sure it would stay in place in case of strong winds. Workers took special care to make each level flat before building on top of it. They used temporary wooden platforms called scaffolds and small steam cranes to assemble the tower. For the technology of the time, the methods and speed of construction made the Eiffel Tower an amazing example of engineering. Wowzer! On hot days, the part of the Eiffel Tower in sunlight expands more than the shaded part. As a result, the tower leans up to 18 centimeters, 7 inches. A single elevator in the Eiffel Tower travels about 103,000 kilometers, 64,000 miles each year. That distance is equal to 2.5 trips around the equator. Objections. Gustave Eiffel and his team were convinced that their design would work, but not everyone agreed. Some people thought that a tower that tall would not handle the wind well. One math professor said that strong winds would cause even a shorter tower to collapse. Other people had a different concert. After construction began, a group of 300 artists, writers, and architects tried to have the project stopped. They thought the tower would look ridiculous and would harm the Paris skyline in the same way that a huge black smokestack would. Fortunately, the people in charge of the World's Fair didn't pay attention to the objections. The tower was finished just over a month before the event began. People were amazed and delighted when they visited the tower at the World's Fair and afterward. Since the tower was built for a special event, it was supposed to be torn down after 20 years, but Eiffel wanted to make sure that didn't happen. He made the tower valuable to scientists, so it was continued to have a purpose. The day after the tower was first opened to the public, Eiffel installed a weather laboratory with barometers, wind gauges, and other instruments. He invented scientists to use the lab, and he also used it for his own experiments. The tower began to be used for radio signals in 1909 and for early experiments in television in 1925. The Eiffel Tower now has 120 radio and television antennas. Touring the tower. Each floor of the Eiffel Tower has its own attractions. The first floor, 57 meters, 187 feet above the ground, has a glass floor that makes it seem as though visitors are walking on air. That floor also has interactive displays about the tower and shows with views of the city projected onto 3 walls. In addition, it has restaurants and shops as well as a piece of the original spiral staircase to Eiffel's office. Since 2004, the first floor has also featured an ice skating rink every winter. The second floor, 115 meters, 377 feet high, has souvenir shops, restaurants, and starry windows that describe the tower's construction. A glass window offers a plunging view down to ground level. Visitors can enjoy great views of the Eiffel Tower from many different angles by riding in a glass elevator. At the top, 276 meters, 906 feet above the ground, is a stunning view of Paris. Two levels, one covered and the other uncovered, allow people to enjoy the view day or night in any weather. Gustave Eiffel's restored office is also on the top floor, as well as panoramic maps with directions and distances to other big cities. All three floors of the tower offer many opportunities for outstanding photos. A gift to the world. If Gustave Eiffel and his team were alive today, they would no doubt be pleased that their engineering wonder has brought so much joy to people around the world. Almost 7 million people visit the Eiffel Tower each year. It's been an important part of the plot in dozens of novels and movies. And it has inspired over 30 replicas. The tower is also the site of dazzling light and fireworks shows, including an amazing one to celebrate the beginning of the year 2000. If you are lucky enough to travel to Paris, you can't possibly miss seeing these famous landmarks, which is visible from nearly every part of the city. It continues to soar over Paris just as Mr. Eiffel intended.